radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right, welcome, Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio for the masses. Yeah, man, how you doing? How you doing? Today's Monday, August 24th, 2020. 237 days into the new year. Only 129 days left. We are live from a bunker that is somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everyone listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking? How you doing? How you doing? Wow, what a weekend. Oh, man. What a week we've got coming up on Fade to Black. Tonight, Mick West. Mick West joins us for the first time. We're going to take a deep dive down the rabbit hole. Oh, we are tonight. And we're also going to discuss his research into the U.S. Navy's 3, I'm going to use quotes here, UFO videos. The Tic Tac, Gimble, and Go Fast. Tomorrow night, Don Schmidt. Don Schmidt is back. We're going to talk about his new book. Wednesday night, Jason Quit. Quitspiracy 7. Can you believe it? Quitspiracy. It's a hit. The 7th installment of Quitspiracy goes down Wednesday night. And Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. What a great show we've got coming up tonight. Stay right there. First off, I want to thank everyone who subscribed to the new Game Changer Network YouTube channel, and everyone who got to watch our premiere episode of The H Factor that aired last night. It was a lot of fun, and there you go. It is up. If you want to watch the premiere episode, episode 1, just go to Game Changer Network, go to the YouTube channel. The links are up. They're everywhere. Just go on social media, click, go search for it. And it's whatever, YouTube/Game Changer Network. And you can go and find the channel and go and watch it. We've got links up on our Jimmy Church Radio Fade to Black YouTube channel as well, and in social media. But thank you to everybody. As you can see, we had a very, very busy weekend. But we launched on time, and it is up and playing. So there you go. Coming up this Friday is the Dark Zone Network's next event, the Lizzie Borden Murder House Live. It's kicking off Friday, August 28th, goes through Monday, August 31st. This is a 24-hour day, 4-day live stream event. You can check out everything right now at thedarkzone.tv. This Thursday, It's Thursday, the 27th. They will have a free preview, and you can go and check out everything. Just go to the darkzone.tv. The banners, links, everything that you need is over at jimmychurchradio.com. Also, everybody wants their first crystal skull. Maybe you've got a crystal skull you want number 2 or number 3. Oh, the only place to go is Carolyn Ford. She's got not only the best, but she understands crystal skulls and the materials and you. Go to EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com, and you can see all the crystal skulls I have here in the studio, all from Carolyn Ford. Okay, EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Use the promo code Jimmy, Jimmy, Jimmy. You will get 10% off of your crystal skull order today. Go and get yours. They're amazing. They're amazing. Like, I can't pick up Elvis, but I can barely manage to pick up Yngwie. That's Yngwie, the heavy metal skull right there. Get yours right now. This is pyrite. Solid metal, man. Incredible. Right? All right. Where am I at? Okay, finally, the UFOs and Artificial Intelligence Conference that was scheduled for this November in Laughlin, Nevada, has been canceled. There will not be an online or virtual conference held in its place either, and everything has been moved forward to November 2021. Now, you can check out all of the updates and the latest news at StarWorksUSA.com and the latest speakers. And you will notice if you haven't gotten the email or the notifications or the newsletter, which made the announcement earlier today, you can go to the website because you will see the addition of Dave Schrader and Joshua P. Warren. How cool is that? All right, so November 2021 in Laughlin, Nevada at the Aquarius Casino. Came down to coronavirus, COVID, restrictions at the hotel, everything else. Just couldn't make it happen. Couldn't do it. Had to cancel it. So that's it. So we're calling it postponed. It's just being postponed to November 2021. All right, let's get the show cracking. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. At JChurchRadio. Start your social media world and connection to me right there at JChurchRadio. The sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. The conversation goes down in real time during the show right there at hashtag F2B. We have 2 chat rooms open, one at Spreaker, one over at KGRA The Planet. And if you have any questions or comments for myself or Mick West tonight, hashtag F2BQ. And if you still use email, you may, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. All right. Man, what a show tonight. Buckle up, kids. It's going to be a good one. I got to get to this breaking news. Arecibo. The Arecibo telescope, the Arecibo radio telescope in Puerto Rico was damaged back on August 10th when a snapped steel cable smashed into one of its antennas and tore a 30-meter, 90-foot gash in its 370-meter wide dish. Observations have been halted for at least 2 weeks, and looking at the damage, it looks like that's a lot of repair. All right? They're holding everything off while investigations are being carried out right now. All of this according to the Florida Space Institute at the University of Central Florida, which manages the observatory for the National Science Foundation. The cable that broke was not one of the main support cables, but one of the several auxiliary cables that stabilized the platform for the giant Gregorian dome that was mounted to it. The cable failed where it attached to the platform. Because it contained a lot of stored energy from tension, it snapped. It flailed. damaging the Gregorian dome, the main reflector of the dish, and twisting the entire Arecibo platform. The photographs are incredible. The damage, it's a lot of repair. It's real damage. Okay, got good news. Construction engineers and workers have almost completed the first restaurant at the Giza Plateau. That's right there where the Great Pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx are located. It will serve tourists visiting the plateau, the epicenter of Egypt's ancient civilization. Diners will have an uninterrupted view of the Great Pyramids of Giza, the Sphinx, and other sites on the plateau. It's the first cafe and restaurant to serve tourists at the location. But so far, I haven't been able to get the name of the joint to book a reservation. But the press release is out. If you come up with the name, let me know. Got to book reservations, man. Got to do it. All right. Oumuamua is back in the news. Oumuamua, the mysterious interstellar object that crashed through our solar system 2 years ago, might in fact be alien technology. That's because an alternative non-alien explanation might be fatally flawed, according to a new study. But most scientists think that the idea that we spotted alien technology in our solar system is a long shot. In June, 2.5 months ago, a research team proposed that solid hydrogen was blasting invisibly off of Oumuamua's surface and causing it to speed up. Now, if you buy that explanation, fine. Made some turns, accelerated, and split, right? Slowed down, accelerated, turned, and split. Well, in a new study and paper published last Monday, August 17th, in the Astrophysical Journal Letters, Avi Loeb from Harvard and Thiem Huang, an astrophysicist at the Korea Astronomy and Space Science Institute, argue that the hydrogen hypothesis couldn't work in the real world, which would mean that there is still hope that our little neighborhood was visited by advanced aliens. That's right. And that we actually spotted their presence here. Wow. Incredible. Now, speaking of objects cruising by our planet, the near constant bombardment of space rocks, I've been reporting on it all year, that seem to be just doing drive-bys and buzzing, right? Our planet. Well, it's continuing, with planetary defenses alerted to a trio of asteroids measuring over 25 meters in diameter at 75 feet for you, that are en route right now to Earth's backyard. It's all going down this week. Check this out. To kick things off tonight, asteroid 2020 PP3, it's 34 meters wide, will pass us by a distance of 3.7 million miles, having only been spotted 13 days ago for the first time. It will be followed shortly afterwards by 2020 PJ6, 26 meters wide, at a distance of 3.2 million miles. Not that far, if you think about it. And that was spotted only 4 days later on August 15th. Now, next up, this Wednesday, asteroid 2020 FF3, measuring 25 meters in diameter, will come as much closer, 1.2 million miles. Remember, it's only 250,000 miles to the moon, so it's 4 times further away than the moon. That's close. This space rock was only spotted on August 14th. And then, if that isn't enough, 2 more smaller asteroids will pass us later Wednesday and Thursday. Absolutely incredible. Incredible. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Dave Chappelle. Love Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle today is 47 years old. I ain't buying it, but he says he is just 47 years old. Done a lot in his life. for 47 years. Our dead guy's birthday today is Danny Joe Brown. Moment of silence, please. 1951 to 2005. Died at the age of 53. Danny was the lead singer of Molly Hatchet and co-writer of the band's biggest hits. Now, his voice, so unique, right? So unique. Like Dreams I'll Never See, right? The Allman Brothers song. Flirting with Disaster. It's All Over Now. Whiskey Man. Beating the Odds. Huh? Danny was gold. He was. Danny Joe Brown died of kidney failure on March 10th, 2005 at his mother's home at the age of 53. Now, over the weekend, I just want to mention this really quick. Frankie Benali passed away. Frankie Benali, of course, the drummer of Quiet Riot and a very, very good and close friend of mine for many, many, many years. Fought pancreatic cancer, stage 4, over the last year, and he passed away over the weekend. And he went public with it. It was early last year. And he kept it public. He kept all of his medical treatments and his progress and everything that he was doing to fight cancer on social media and on Facebook, and shared it all with us. And I posted some stuff, but the thing is this. I knew Frankie well enough, and anybody that knew Frankie, we all thought the same thing. He's going to beat this. If anybody's going to beat it, it's going to be Frankie Benali. And the last month, the post stopped, and I just kind of felt that the end was near, and we were about to get the bad news. Well, we did. And the other bad news is nobody knows what's going to happen with the funeral, and that's messing with everybody. Nobody wants to have the funeral. Can't do it. Can't do a memorial service. Can't get together. It's coronavirus time, right? Sad. Frankie, rest in peace, my brother. All right. On this day in history, 79 A.D., Mount Vesuvius erupts in southern Italy, devastating the prosperous Roman cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum. Fate or fact, the word disaster. Now listen to me. The word disaster comes from the Italian disastro. That's right. Meaning ill-starred, as people believe their misfortunes were due to the astrological positioning of the stars in the sky. That's where disaster comes from. Bet you didn't know that, did you? Incredible. Tonight, Mick West joins us for the first time. We're going to take a deep dive down the rabbit hole. You're not going to want to miss this conversation. And we're also going to discuss all of his research into the U.S. Navy's 3 UFO videos, the Tic Tac, the Gimble, and the Go Fast. And tomorrow night, Don Schmidt is back. We're going to talk about his new book. Wednesday night, Jason Quitt is here for Quitspiracy 7. Yeah, I can't believe it. Quitspiracy number 7. Where did that happen? Incredible. All right. Let me hit this River Moon coffee. rivermooncoffee.com. Yeah, it's a good picture of Frankie. That's a good shot. That's back in the day. Got the Quiet Riot striped drums. Oh, man. Yeah, it's a good picture. Frankie was a cool dude. It's a good dude right there. Good guy. In the rock and roll world, we always hear those stories about, never want to meet one of your heroes, right? Frankie was cool. Frankie was cool. Always made time. All right. Yeah. There are plenty of conspiracy theories that deserve our attention. Absolutely. So many different conspiracy theories over the years turned out to be true, to be real. And that's when it starts to mess with your head, right? And what happens in these conspiracy circles is that once something is vetted, confirmed, verified, proven is real for you, suddenly everything is a conspiracy. And you only need that one little thing. And I had a friend of mine that visited me. This isn't a conspiracy theory, but it is. I had a friend that visited me, and he comes over and he goes, "Hey, man, somebody that we knew mutually between the two of us, his landlord, technically. My landlord has drilled holes in my walls and is recording me." I'm like, dude, stop with that. Stop with it. Just stop. And he was, I'm telling you, at the brink of losing his mind. And I said, well, how do you, man, I can hear them on the other side of the walls and they're talking about me and they're talking about recording me and I could hear what they're doing. And I was like, man, dude, it's your imagination. Just stop with that. Stop. And I talk him off the edge of the cliff. I talk him down and I calm him down. I'm like, no. Well, it was about a week later and I'm with an unassociated group of people, but I hear a couple of people, and I know these two, right? And I hear them talking and they're going, yeah, man, we've been recording Bob for George, the landlord. I was like, what'd you guys just say? Yeah, man, there's weird stuff going on in his apartment, and so they wanted us. I said, what? And then I felt bad. But this is where things get funky. I talked my friend off the cliff, right? I got him calmed down. I then had to have another conversation with him, which was, you were right. It's not what you think it is, but, and I had to, throw him this softball. He ended up moving out. The weirdness stopped, and everything was fine. But the point is really simple. It's super simple. Once you get, if he would have had, if anything at that point, it's the rabbit hole. And now he's going to take these thoughts into all other directions. He's going to look at life differently and things. I had to talk him back off the cliff. I had to do it. And it's the same thing in the conspiracy world. Because for me, because I have seen things that I can't explain, I've interviewed people, I've been there. That doesn't mean that I have to buy into or believe every single conspiracy theory out there. When it comes to 9/11, I believe that there's a conspiracy with 9/11, and the conspiracy is not what you think. The conspiracy for me is that the government knew in advance that there were going to be terrorists attacking and possibly focusing on the Twin Towers. Knew that in advance and did nothing about it. That's a conspiracy. That's a crime. And that's the definition of conspiracy. And that's darker than bombs, nuclear suitcases, detonations, hologram airplanes. No. And I don't buy into that. And I've had a lot of criticism about that, but I don't care what the engineers have to say, but that's just my take, or the conspiracy theorist or whatever. It's not going to change my mind. And it's the same thing with so many other different conspiracies and with shootings and think we need to just calm down and look at reality, that just maybe it's a group of crazy people like the terrorists that hijacked airplanes, right? Maybe it's just that. Now, the fact that our government knew in advance and didn't do anything about it, that's pretty strange. That's pretty strange. And nobody really wanted to go there. The questions were raised. The Senate and Congress, they were asking the questions about this, about what the CIA knew in advance, maybe the FBI. What did they know? All of those flight schools across the country, what did they know in advance? But they just let that lay right there. That's the conspiracy. That's a conspiracy for me. And it's bigger and darker than anything about a controlled demolition. Nah. Holographic airplanes that weren't real. Yeah. Thermite. What burns and what doesn't. No, I just don't go there. So that's what we always need to do when it comes with conspiracy theories. Listen. We got to have alternative ideas out there. We can never believe what we are told the first time, especially through the media or through the man and through official channels. You got to weed through it and get everybody's ideas out there. It's like, come on. Ideas on the table. Thermite, suitcase nuclear bombs, controlled demolition, right? Construction crews coming in for a couple of years, right, in advance, wiring the building. Okay, all right, let's throw all that in the middle of the table. Let's see what sticks. That's fine. Question everything. Don't believe everything. And that's the danger zone. You don't want to lose your mind. Like my friend, you don't want to do it. You don't. And that's how I've always been able to remain objective. When I look at Operations Northwoods, MK Ultra, Project Mockingbird, these are real. That's real stuff. You don't need anything more to go on when you look at that and just go, oh, man, okay, wow, that actually really happened. And it did. So think about that. Tonight, our guest is Mick West. He's been doing just that for a very long time. He's been running Debunk, and if you haven't been to Debunk, you need to go there, debunk.org, all right, and check out all of the research, all right? I may not agree with everything that Mick throws out there and debunks or puts on the table. That's not the point. We always need to listen to everybody. His work on the 3 U.S. Navy UFO videos, absolutely incredible. And we're going to go through all of that tonight. So stay right there. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Mick West joins us. Tomorrow night, right here, Don Schmidt. And then Wednesday night, it is Quitspiracy 7 with Jason Quitt. Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be right back with Mick West right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. Introducing the Game Changer blend from Rivermoon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. with wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. The Dark Zone presents another epic live streaming event from America's most famous haunted crime scene, the Lizzie Borden Murder House. A 4-day live streaming event, August 28th through the 31st, 2020. Following the smash success of the first-of-its-kind live streaming event at the Conjuring House, the Dark Zone Network is proud to present a worldwide interactive live streaming event from the notorious double murder scene, the Lizzie Borden House in Fall River, Massachusetts. This is the perfect warm-up for Halloween. Full access to the continuous around-the-clock 4-day event is just $19.99. Discounted tickets are on sale now, and you can check out the free preview on Thursday, August 27th. For more information and to watch the Lizzie Borden Murder House live, please visit thedarkzone.tv or just click on the banners at jimmychurchradio.com. That's www.thedarkzone.tv.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right. Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What a show tonight. What a week we have got coming up. Tonight, Mick West is here. Tomorrow night, Don Schmidt. Wednesday night, it's Jason Quitt with Quitspiracy number 7. Mick West. Mick West needs to listen to that show. Oh, man. It's going to be a great show tonight. Really, really looking forward to this. Mick West is here. We're going to do a breakdown of each of the Navy's 3. I'm holding up quotation marks here, right? 3 UFO videos, the Tic Tac, the Gimble, and the Go Fast. Mick is the author of Escaping the Rabbit Hole, How to Debunk Conspiracy Theories Using Facts, Logic, and Respect. He's the host of the podcast Tales from the Rabbit Hole. He's a retired video game programmer who helped make the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater franchise. I played the life out of those games. Mick runs the website metabunk.org, where he investigates conspiracy theories, debunks pseudoscience, and investigates UFO videos. I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Mick West. Mick, good evening, man. How are you?
Good evening, Jimmy. I'm doing good. How you doing?
I am fantastic. Now that you're here with me, to help center me, yeah, it's going to be a great night. Mick, let's start off here, though. You get the first-time guest disclaimer. Okay, so let's get that out of the way, which is this. Mick, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. Where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, but we're going to end as friends. There you go. All right.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. That's the way I like to do it. I like to start as friends. Stay friends all the way through.
Yeah, stay friends all the way through. And you've got to. One of the things, we've got a lot to discuss tonight, and I'm really looking forward to this. But I'm actually going to start here, a little bit off subject. No, it's actually on subject, which is one of the great things about this country was two people with different ideas managing to get along and respect the other side. That's what this country, we're all different, right? That's what, and today it's not that kind of party, right? It's a divided, hate-filled thing that we have suddenly found ourselves in. What happened? Why can't we all be different? And you and I, in a lot of ways, can't be more further on the opposite sides of the fence. But we're about to have a great conversation and with respect. What happened along the way? How did we get here?
Well, I think America, has always been kind of a melting pot. You've always had these different people in, and there's always been historically been animosities between various groups of people. And I think perhaps we've kind of been lulled into a bit of a false sense of security with, the good times in recent years, the post-war years. Was a time of great prosperity. But America has traditionally been a country with lots of different factions. It's a big country, and people from one part of the country don't like people from another part of the country. And perhaps what's happening is that people are kind of being maybe forced together a little bit more. The country has shrunk a little bit by the internet, kind of making everybody more accessible. So now we get to see what life is like on the other side of the fence, and maybe we don't like it, and maybe we're scared of it, and that just leads to a few problems.
Well, I agree with that. I do. I agree with that, except, right, and there's always a but, right? There's always a but. But no matter how different people were with ideas, and it could be religion or politics or jobs or hair or the way that you dressed, we still managed to drink and eat dinner and break bread at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't see us breaking bread and having a drink at the end of all of this.
Yeah. I think people really, people want to try to help the country. They want to try doing that. And there's so much going on now, which is basically people, cancel culture, people canceling their friends. Like if someone is on Facebook and you don't agree with them, like the thing people do is says, this guy is like a Trump guy, so I'm just going to cancel him. Or this guy is like a raving liberal lunatic, I'm just going to unfriend them. Yeah, that's not helping. People just canceling each other isn't helping. What we should be doing is talking to each other. And I think that everyone's perfectly capable of doing that.
Now, and how did you yourself personally arrive here? Were you somebody that, because, hold on a minute. Let me qualify this question. I've watched some of your podcast, right? And it's really good. And it seems that you've almost got a self-help group going on from former conspiracy theorists that are maybe still conspiracy minded, right? They have conspiracy leanings, but they have been pulled out of the cult, right? And so were you yourself once a conspiracy theorist?
No, I wasn't, but I was, I guess, religious for a long time. I was raised a Catholic, and I was also kind of like a mystical thinker in a way. I used to think that I had psychic powers when I was young, when I was like a young teenager, like say 12, 13, something like that. I would try to train my brain so I could see what a card was by staring at the back of the card long enough. And I thought that I could actually do that. And I thought that if I did this for long enough, this is kind of magical thinking that was really appealing to me as a youngster. And I was also really into UFOs, as any young guy would be. Reading science fiction, watching TV with lots of science stuff. In the UK, we watch Doctor Who, which is a popular science fiction thing over here too. And so, I like that type of thing. But as I grew older, I also started really liking science. And the more you kind of delve into science, from my perspective, like a lot of these things, not all of them, a lot of these things, these mysteries kind of fall away and kind of get explained, what's actually going on with these various things. And I started to find that to be like the interesting thing.
Now, before we move forward, I want to stay on this, but you just mentioned Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite Doctor Who?
Well, Tom Baker, of course.
No.
But I think this is a thing to do with age. And when you grew up, like when I grew up watching it, Tom Baker was Doctor Who for me.
Really? What about David Tennant?
Well, it's like these. For me, like I had this big chunk of my life where there was the Doctor Who was Tom Baker with his scarf and everything. There was the guy who came after him. I can't remember his name, but he was a little blonde-haired guy. And then there's this big mess of other people that I didn't really pay much attention to. So I just got this very fixed idea of Doctor Who in my mind, which is Tom Baker, and then occasionally this weird little guy with a robot dog wanders into the equation, but.
Right.
Tom Baker's the guy.
I like David Tennant, but that's another story. Okay. All right. Now, today, are there conspiracies out there for you that don't need to be debunked, that they are actually real?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's things that people wouldn't even think about because it's so obvious. Like, we know that there's corruption in government.
Sure.
We know that people take money, essentially, or directly, in exchange for favorable stances on legislation. We know that the lobbying industry is essentially kind of a way of a corruption interface between big industry and the government. And then there's the whole military-industrial complex with this big revolving door of people who worked in the military, people working in government in the military, getting jobs in Boeing and Lockheed Martin, or getting jobs as lobbyists who then interface between these other companies. So there are essentially conspiracies going on because these things, to a large extent, end up being immoral. We get things like lobbyists for the prison industry lobbying politicians and giving money to their campaigns, funneling money to their campaigns in exchange for increased sentencing, like or not repealing things like mandatory minimums for drug sentencing. These are things which if people were just thinking about what's actually going on there, people's lives being ruined just so some corporation can make more money, it's just a terrible thing, and essentially it's a really bad conspiracy. But then there's lots of other things as well, which you could say would be conspiracies. Obviously, people conspire individually all the time to try to cheat various things, like criminals conspire. Right. And I'm sure there's people within corporations that conspire. And corporations probably do things like try to fudge the books or fudge the numbers on tests of a pharmaceutical or something like that to try to get it passed. Volkswagen had that big conspiracy where they were faking the emission numbers. For their, I can't remember what it was, like diesel trucks or something like that. And there was a huge thing that cost them billions of dollars when it actually came out. So there are conspiracies which are both illegal and very, very large in some instances.
Now, if you take that a step further, is that type of conspiracy, and I understand you're staying inside of the framework of the definition of conspiracy, which is two or more people conspiring, working together to commit a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then there is the pop culture definition of conspiracy, right, which is any crazy idea out there is a conspiracy.
But that would be a conspiracy theory.
Right.
And that there's a common usage of the term conspiracy theory. Now, you could just say conspiracy theory as a literal meaning, which it does. But everyone kind of understands what the term conspiracy theory means. It's basically ascribing a conspiracy to explain significant events in the world. Like, say, JFK is assassinated. Someone says, like, the CIA assassinated him. That's a conspiracy theory because it's not. Maybe it's true, but there aren't like facts to prove it.
Right. Well, one side will say conspiracy theory. It's the other side says it's a conspiracy.
It's a contentious thing because if one side thinks their theory is proven, then it's no longer a theory. But they're still arguing their hypothesis. Even if you believe a hypothesis to be correct, you can't say this is fact and everyone agrees to it. If you're in this vast minority, well, vast, this very, very small minority of, say, like 2 or 3% of the population that believes a certain thing, or even if you're in like the 30 or 40% or something that believes some, and even if you're in the majority, like people believe certain things which are false, like in larger numbers than the actual population, like half of the population. You can get 60% of the people believing like scientific facts that end up being false. Like people, to trivial things, for example, like some people think that household dust is mostly dead human skin because they've heard it when they were growing up or something like that. So they believe these things to be false.
Wait. You mean it's not?
It's not. No.
Hold on a minute. The show just took a strange turn. Okay. But then there's an example like this, where today conspiracy theorists, right? I feel like Giorgio Tsoukalos on Ancient Aliens, right? Conspiracy theorists say, but conspiracy theorists will say, well, the government and an underground, what's the word I want to use? Invisible group is running the media, is running the internet, is running the news, is running the headlines, is controlling your mind. And we can all laugh at that. And then, but they have Project Mockingbird, right? Where they can go, but this was real. Yeah. And so you look at that and you understand what Project Mockingbird was, which was the CIA controlling the media through television and print across the United States with literally paid journalists and reporters and talking heads on the nightly news. So do you understand where?
Sure. Yeah. And, obviously if you look into history, depending on how far back you go, you're going to find things that were done that you could say, is this still being done now? But then you could have asked, just because something was done in the past, does that mean it is being done now? Like a lot of things have changed over the years because of legislation. I mean, we used to be able to smoke in theaters, but it doesn't mean we can smoke in theaters now.
We can't?
What? Might seem like a silly example, but, things change over time. And just because that was the way things were done back then during the height of, the Cold War, or the aftermath of the Cold War, does it mean that it's still been going on now? Of course, if you don't trust the government, then you've got no reason to suspect that it's not. But if you actually study what's actually going on and the legislation that goes on and the operations of the CIA, we have like specific laws in the U.S. that prevent the usage of propaganda on American citizens. We're only allowed to use propaganda on foreign citizens, and there used to be quite strict measures even on that to stop it kind of leaking back to the US, and they've kind of loosened that now because there was so many issues with social media. But there are laws against this type of thing. So it would have to be illegal. Back then, it wasn't illegal to do that.
Well, you have to have the laws in place. You have to have the laws in place for the excuse, right? And to say that we have the laws in place, but that does not mean that the CIA is not running websites right now under the guise of something else, or Twitter accounts that are being. I mean,
that would be illegal.
That would be, but they're doing it.
It would, but so that would be something that it would be great for somebody to actually get in there and expose. So there's this huge risk that they were running by making it illegal and then continuing to do it. Why didn't they just keep it legal? Why didn't they just make it legal?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Snowden. right? So
Well, he hasn't. Has he said anything about? Does he think that this is actually going on?
Well, that's
propaganda sites.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another time. But staying on this though, one of the things that when I am outspoken about these types of ideas, and going back to like Mockingbird, I go straight to TTSA. And the reason why I do that is when you go over to TTSA's website and you look at their 12 or 14 employees on the roster, right, with their CVs there and their work history, that 11 out of those 12 work for the CIA. And you have to stop and ask, or counterintelligence, right, Pentagon. And you look at something like that and go, wait a minute here. What is the message that would be coming out? Why a staff of CIA employees or ex-employees? And the best example I can give you is Debunk. Debunk. If Debunk's 12 employees were all ex-CIA, Mick West has a problem. You've got a marketing issue, right? You're going to have to explain that away on why this is a good thing or why this is happening and why people who are visiting Debunk should not be alarmed.
Well, let me give you a counterexample. Neversoft, which is a company I used to run, had a lot of people who knew each other. And I think when someone starts up a new enterprise, they gather from the people around them, and then they gather from the people that those people know. So you're going to tend to get people coming from a small group. Now, I think TTSA, the way it works is that they have Elizondo, who had connections in various departments, and he could get these videos out because he kind of worked with the classification process of them, and then he knew other people, and they knew other people, and they just were just in the same sphere basically, and then they kind of got together and started their fun little company trying to make money from making entertainment about UFOs.
Yeah, you're being kind. You're being kind right now, and
that's what I think happened. I think there.
That's exactly what happened. There's no question about that. That's what happened. But we're not talking about Ford. We're not talking about Microsoft, right? We're not talking about Ubisoft. We're not talking about Apple.
It's a little company.
We're talking about the CIA. That's a whole nother ball of wax there.
Right. But I don't really see them doing anything significant, though.
Okay.
I think what they've done this unidentified TV show. That's the biggest thing they've done so far. They've done a bit of media hype around these videos, but it's basically to promote their show. They're supposed to have 3 divisions, like a science division, a research division, and then a development division, and that actually makes flying saucers, and then entertainment. But all they're really doing is entertainment.
Right. And so when we have these 3 videos and a message, okay, let me back up for a second. Do you believe, this is a leading question for the next question, do you believe that the United States government and the Pentagon and all of the agencies involved around that, do you believe that they are in possession of evidence of extraterrestrials visiting this planet?
I don't know. I don't see any evidence of it, but it's obviously quite possible. And if someone was going to be, they'd probably be the ones to do it. Okay,
so the cooperation or lack of the communication between TTSA and the Pentagon seems to be these 3 videos and securing the release of them, even though they've been in the public domain, back in 2017. Is that, and for what they've turned out to be, is that disinformation?
I don't think so. I think it's just Lou Elizondo happened to know about these videos. I think what they probably were something like internal training videos like the Navy used to demonstrate these various things to pilots. But so he knew about them, and he knew that they were classified in a certain way, and he thought he could get them declassified. Now, there's a little email chain that's out there that you can read of him trying to get them declassified. He kind of goes back and forth with some guy in the Navy, and it ends up he gets the form filled in with them, and it says they're declassified, and then at that point they release them, via this New York Times article. But then the military comes back and says, oh, they weren't properly declassified, and they shouldn't have been released. And this was back in 2017, like December 2017. But then later, the military says, oh, well, they're out there anyway, so we're just going to release them officially. And so these are the official versions, and this is all we've got, and there's no longer versions of them. So here you go. And I think that's pretty much all that happened. Well, I don't really see anything nefarious going on or any kind of propaganda, and I don't really see how there could be any propaganda in this anyway, but maybe you do.
Right. Well, the message that has been, the drum that has been beat, I should say, for the last 2.5 years, it's going to be 3. We're going into year 4. We're about to complete year 3 in December. Remember, it's December 2017 when the New York Times article came out. And so that'll be 3 years in a couple of months, and then we enter in year 4. The propaganda, the dogma that has been established is that what is in these 3 videos are UFOs, UAPs. We have the pilots, we have the Navy crews, and their sightings to back up what's in these videos. And these are visitors from another planet. That's the dogma. Right? You were Catholic. You understand dogma, right?
It's not official dogma, though.
It's
dogma that's kind of arisen and kind of being promoted by TTSA and to some extent by people like Leslie Kean from the New York Times.
Why keep doing it if it's not UFO videos? Why keep trying to convince the public that they're seeing something that they are not?
Because that's the best that they've got, and they're milking it for all that they can. They did entire TV show episodes like based around these videos, and they set up these dramatic things where they had supposed experts come in and look at the videos and say that they are amazing videos, and they show unusual phenomena like aura and hovering and things like that. So they can use them. That show is used debunked videos from many, many years ago, like the Chilean UFO video that came out a while ago that was a plane. They put it in the latest season, season 2, and said that it was like a UFO. So they're not above like kind of pushing things to use them. And I think that's just what's actually going on here. They're just they've got 3 videos. That's probably pretty much all they've got in the video department. These are the best things that they have. And they're studiously ignoring any real analysis of these videos, because if they were properly analyzed, it would be revealed that they're really not as interesting as they make them out to be.
Well, and the question is, I've got 30 seconds before the break, Mick, but the question is why? Is the motivation money, or is the motivation really interstellar? Is there something else that is coming down the pike?
I think the motivation is that they're all people who really like the UFO extraterrestrial hypothesis. They really like the idea that there's aliens out there, and they think it's true, and they think that they can solve it. And so they're trying to do that. And if they make a bit of money along the way, that's fine too. But I think really they're really into it.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Mick West. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Mick, what's your Twitter?
It's Mick West.
Are you sure?
That's what they tell me.
Mick West. No, we've got it right up here in Twitter right now. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are also Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Mick West is here. Escaping the rabbit hole. That's what we're going to try to do tonight. We'll see. Tomorrow night, Don Schmidt. Wednesday night, Jason Quitt. Thursday night, open lines. Back to Mick West. And, okay, Mick, I'm going to start with a blanket statement, which is this. When I first saw the videos a few years ago, and I saw them from a variety of sources. The releases came out later, and the public side came out later. But when I first saw them, I was like, holy crap. And now when I see the videos, this has been going on for me for about 2 years now. Now when I see the 3 videos, the Gimble, Tic Tac, and Go Fast, I don't see anything extraterrestrial whatsoever. I just don't see it. Mm-hmm. But people still believe. I ran a poll last week, and it was split 50-50. And I had hundreds and hundreds of responses and comments on that poll. And I'm surprised by that. Is it because it is the power of suggestion? That with the power of suggestion, then people see the videos and then they see what they see.
To a degree, it is, yeah. There was a thing in the news today. Trump was at a rally or not some sort of speech, and somebody shouted out a word, and some people thought the guy had shouted out "monkey," and so they put this video up online and said, "This guy shouts out monkey," and you listen to it the first time, and it sounds like monkey. And then someone else says, "It's not actually monkey, it's actually Spygate." And then you listen to it again, and you're like, "Oh yeah, it's actually Spygate." But because you were primed to hear it as monkey, it sounds like monkey the first time around, but it's actually the guy saying Spygate, and it just got mistaken. And that's kind of what happens with the videos. If someone says, "Here's a video of an amazing flying saucer, like flying sideways and then turning to stand on its side," then that's what you're going to see. But if then I come along and I try to explain what's actually going on, my explanations aren't quite as accessible as just saying, "Oh, it's not actually that, it's actually this." So I can't correct it as easily as you can correct most mistakes of this nature.
Well, I made a statement. I had to go back and watch your videos over the last couple of weeks, but because of what I had said, I went and looked at the videos again last month and really looked at them closely. And then I went back again because this next wave of TTSA supporters started to come out, the new articles, from Leslie and the TV show, the Fox and Tucker and all of that stuff. So I went back again and looked at the videos, and I wrote an article that I write each week, and what I stated was this: this is what I see. And especially with the Tic Tac video, I have a lot of cameras, nice cameras. I have tripods. I have video. I have this. I have a studio separate from the radio studio. And I can go into that studio and grab one of the adjustment arms on one of the tripods while I'm looking in the camera and move it left to right. That's what I'm seeing in the Tic Tac video, right? That type of movement.
The camera movement.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing, is stabilized camera movement, stabilized platform. And I can't get away from that when I see the Tic Tac video. So then I went back and watched your videos again, and especially your Tic Tac presentation. Now let's focus on that for a moment.
Okay.
The Tic Tac video, which it's also called something else. What's it called?
Fleur 1.
Yeah, Fleur 1.
Or the Nimitz video sometimes.
Or the Nimitz video. So what is happening there with the movement of the object that is shown in this video?
Well, first of all, your analogy of just kind of joggling your camera and seeing things move around in the frame is a pretty good one. But there's a real danger here of kind of tacking on an explanation which is a little bit too simple for what's actually going on, because these are very, very complicated cameras. The AppFlare system is it's got this big ball on the end of a kind of a cylinder type thing, and you think, oh, that's just like a pan tilt zoom camera, which we've all seen these little security cameras that go up and down, left and right, and it kind of is, but it doesn't really use that pan tilt and zoom to track the objects all the time. It uses an internal system of gimbaled mirrors, which are mirrors mounted on axes so they can rotate in one direction, and it has 3 of those that reflect the image through to the camera. And then there isn't just one camera. There's actually two cameras, an infrared camera and a visible light camera. And then there isn't just like one set of lenses there. There's lenses for wide field of view and one for narrow field of view. And the wide field of view isn't even really a lens as such. It's more this kind of a way of bypassing what they call the afocal 4 optics. So it gets really, really complicated. Oh, and then beyond that, after the image has gone through all these mirrors and these diverters and these 4 optics, it gets into the back section of the camera, the big cylinder, where the actual cameras are, where the actual sensors are, and the light then hits those sensors. But because the stuff in the front has all been rotating, it has to go through another device called the derotation device, which is this fancy set of mirrors, which is arranged in a certain way so that it reflects the image back around and can arbitrarily rotate it by any angle. And so you've got this really, really complicated set of things going on. And it's very difficult to just take your everyday experience. I don't mean you specifically, but for anybody to take their everyday experience and try to understand exactly what's going on. Even if you work with, say, security cameras or even certain types of high-end FLIR cameras, you might not have the same types of things going on. So what's actually going on in this Nimitz video is the pilot, Chad Underwood, saw something in the distance. He got a lock on it, and the lock he got was what's called an auto track lock. An auto track is tracking visually, for want of a better word, but what it's doing is it's looking at the video output that's coming from whatever camera is being displayed on the screen, and it's seeing what's in the middle of that screen, and there'll be like usually a blob of some sort or a plane or something like that, and then the system will track that plane, and that's what's going on. You see these 2 bars on either side of the object. But then Chad Underwood is trying to get better pictures. He's trying to get a better look at what's going on, because all you're seeing is this kind of blurry blob because it's so far away and it's going to be out of focus and it's very small. And they have poor lighting. I think that's another factor here. It's backlit, so it's probably around dusk or dawn. So it's cycling through all these different modes trying to get better pictures. But every time he cycles through a mode, that means he's got to essentially change the camera. It's kind of changing either from infrared to visible light, or it's changing from a wide field of view to a narrow field of view. And these changes involve actual physical movements. With the changes in the field of view, you actually have to change mirrors around to divert the light path. With the infrared thing, I'm not sure exactly, but you probably have to change mirrors internally to divert it from one camera to the other. You could perhaps split it and just flip over. But either way, whenever you're switching between these modes, there is some kind of disruption or interruption of the video image. And because the auto tracker relies upon that video image to actually track the object, it's going to lose track of it during that transition. And you see this happen every single time that there's some kind of disruption. It's not just disruptions with the cameras changing modes as well. There's actually a couple of times in the video where the object appears to move in a tight little circle. And that's what's called a gimbal correction or a gimbal roll, where the outer housing of the camera has kind of reached a certain limit, which is when it's pointing straight ahead and tracking something that's down a bit, where it has to do this big rotation. And that disrupts the image, and that means it loses track. And so this happens multiple times throughout the video. And each time it loses track, you see it moves a little bit to the left. And the reason it's moving to the left is that the camera itself is tracking this object. Now, this is another thing that causes a lot of problems with comprehension of these videos, especially the GoFast video, is that this camera is locked on really, really tightly to the thing it's tracking. It's locked on so tight, it doesn't look like it's tracking it. It doesn't look like it's following along. It just looks like you're looking at a static scene. But the object is actually moving left at a certain angular rate, and you can work that out from the numbers that are at the top of the screen.
Right.
And the amount that it actually moves when it loses lock is exactly the same as that angular rate. So all that happens is it just keeps losing lock, and then eventually at the end, it loses lock, doesn't regain it, goes off the side, he loses it. That's it.
Yeah, and so the movement of the Tic Tac in that FLIR video, in the Tic Tac video, is not some extraordinary anti-gravity movement, up, left, up, right, set, out, out. That is just the camera adjusting on the lock.
Essentially, yes. It's two things. One is it's losing lock in some way, so the object will end up in a certain position. Then it's no longer tracking it, so the object continues moving. So what you've got here is you just got to say, let's say it's a distant plane. It probably is a distant plane. Say it's like 40 miles in front of you, and it's flying kind of away from you and to the left. And it's flying at level altitude, and it's not doing anything at all in particular. It's just flying in a perfectly straight line. So the camera's locked onto that plane, flying to the left. And so it's tracking it, gradually moving to the left, like 1 degree every 4 seconds or something like that. And every so often, Chad Underwood changes the camera, or something happens to interrupt the video stream. It loses lock a bit, and so it can't track it anymore. So it's no longer locked on like really strong lock. It's got it has to expand its search area. It's not tracking it, so the object starts to drift to the left, and then you see it expand the search area, and it grabs it, locks on again. Camera moves back into the position. It continues with its really solid lock.
The testimony and certainly the conversation with Chad Underwood, especially recently, is there. I'm not sure if he is directly trying to say that the movement that is happening in the video that is not caused from the camera, that this object is doing all of these erratic moves and we're trying to lock back onto it. It's acting erratically. It's not the camera movement. And when I hear him say those things, I know what it's like to follow an object with, say, a pair of binoculars or a video camera or anything else, and you're moving, and it's the object not making these erratic movements. It's you trying to track it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and here, it's not manually being tracked.
No, but you understand what I'm saying.
Indeed,
you see the
it doesn't take much.
Yeah, you see the same effects with your eyes as you do with what these cameras and the software is doing, trying to track this object. It's not the object doing the erratic movements. It's the camera itself, or you with your unsteady hands holding a binocular.
Even a tripod, if you're using something with very high magnification. Like a lot of people in the flat Earth community have this camera called a Nikon P900, which is this really high magnification, and there's a P1000 now. Mm-hmm. And when you zoom in, even though it's got image stabilization, it's really hard to keep something in frame, which is about 1 degree field of view, or less than that. I think it's actually 0.35. Degrees in the Tic Tac video, but it's very, very hard to keep something in frame. It's hard for a human, and it's actually kind of hard for a robot, because it's a very, very small movement that's going on. So a small divergence from that means that it's actually quite easy for it to lose lock when it's like really zoomed in like that. And yeah, you've had experience yourself, I'm sure, of doing things like looking at Venus through high-powered binoculars, and then you lose it, and then you try to get it back, and it's really hard to get something back in very high magnification once you've actually lost it. So I think that kind of explains why he didn't get it back afterwards.
Now, one of the biggest points that is made in this video is one of the biggest red flags for me, where I'm not seeing what they're trying to sell me. which is the end of the video when the object moves to the left. Now, when that happens, I'm going back to my tripod example, right? Moving my tripod. I am looking at what I am seeing. And I remember when I first saw it, I went, wait a minute. That's not alien technology. That's a camera. That is not alien tech. That is not anti-gravity going to the left. That is the camera staying in one position and is slowly panning to the right. It feels like that's the movement that is there. It's not the object that is moving rapidly to the left. It's the plane. The source of that movement is from the camera system on the plane.
Not exactly, because it's all relative. Like, either you're moving or the object's moving. Now, we know that the object is moving relative to the plane because we see the angle at the top of the screen change. It starts out, I think, at 2 degrees left and 2 degrees right and ends up 8 degrees left. So we know the camera is panning to follow this object, which means that that object is moving. So what's actually happening right at the end isn't that the plane with the camera is moving to the right. It's the object is simply continuing to move to the left, and the plane has stopped panning. It's no longer tracking it because it's lost the lock.
Right, which is my point. So what they want you to, I'm talking about the viewers, right? What they want you to believe is that it is moving at an ultra high speed with anti-gravity alien technology to the left, and the camera system can't lock on it. That's what they're implying.
Makes no sense whatsoever because it's not really moving that fast. This angular velocity is not very big at all. Like this system is meant to track quite dramatic things, and they say it must be dramatic because it lost lock, but it would also look exactly the same if it just simply lost lock because the camera was going through this field of view change, which it is. It's this weird coincidence, if this isn't what's happening, that every single time the camera changes mode, it does this little loss of lock, widening the bars, the thing drifts a bit to the left. And this happens every single time. And the last time is just simply the one time when it didn't regain lock.
The object, I need to hear what you have to say about this. At the beginning of the video, the object has a different shape.
Yeah.
It's more of a Tic Tac shape, right? It's more of an oval shape. At the end of the video, it's flat.
Yeah. Now that's an interesting thing. I think you got to look at the two different modes that you're looking at in. There's an infrared mode, which says IR at the top of the screen, and then there's the visible light mode, which says TV at the top of the screen. And there's very, very different things going on in these two modes. If you just look at the infrared to start off with, at the start of the video, it's in infrared. And if you look at this object, it looks like a bizarre, like starfish or something. It's got these spikes going in all directions. And it's obviously just some kind of lens glare that's making this shape. It's not the actual shape of the object. I mean, people aren't saying the Tic Tac is this weird star-shaped object. If you go back and look at it, you can look right at the start of the video. It starts out small in 1x zoom, then it goes to 2x zoom. You can see this fairly clearly. It's got this weird kind of an 8-armed star shape, and people don't talk about that, but it's quite significant, really. But then they switch into the TV mode, which is the visible light mode, and here you're seeing a black object, and this actually starts out, I would say, starting out more like a Tic Tac in this mode, in the TV mode. And then it turns into more of what I described as a peanut shaped, which is kind of, this classic peanut in its shell. It's kind of two bulbous things with a narrowing in the middle. And it moves fairly smoothly from one shape to the other. It's getting bigger, so that means it's getting closer. But then it switches back to infrared again. And now you've got something that looks more like a white Tic Tac shape, except that it's wider on the right than it is on the left. And I think what's going on there is the widening on the right is essentially the same as this big starfish type thing you were seeing earlier. But because it's now further away, actually, yeah, it's getting further. Is it further away? No, it's closer. Now it's closer. Now it's closer. So you can see more of the plane itself. And so this glare at the end is smaller relative to the plane. And so it just appears kind of a widening because it's still a very small number of pixels at that point. It's very hard to make anything out. So you've got the actual shape of the plane itself showing up in infrared, plus the glare showing up in infrared. People talk about this infrared signature, which really just means what it looks like in infrared. It sounds more complicated than it actually is. It isn't some kind of weird, frequency wavelength signature or anything like that. It's just what it looks like in infrared. And it's, I think if you go through the various different things, it's all pretty consistent with some kind of jet-powered object that starts out possibly facing the camera, because you get this big glare at the start. So it's possibly facing the camera, maybe putting on its afterburners so it's a lot hotter. Then they switch to TV mode, so you don't see a continuous infrared thing, which is a real shame.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come back to the infrared thing, it's now perhaps turned a bit more to the left, and so the engines aren't pointed directly at you, but they're still flaring a little bit, which is why the infrared looks a bit bigger on the right than on the left. And then the visible light thing, this black kind of weird Tic Tac morphing into a peanut shape. It's hard to say what that actually is, but because it's so out of focus, it could quite easily be something like a plane, like say an FA-18. It could even be the other plane of the group. They only talk about the one plane, Chad Underwood's plane. Perhaps his wingman was flying a few miles ahead, and Underwood took a video of him, or perhaps it was someone in another group, somebody in another plane. But I think it doesn't move in any way that's inconsistent with a plane just in level flight.
Now, let me, I've got 2 minutes before the break.
Sure. At
the end of the video, this is another part that everybody wants to talk about, that it just zooms away at this incredible speed. I don't see that, but there's something else that happens right there that most don't catch and don't understand because of the power of suggestion. That at that moment it goes from 1 zoom to 2x zoom.
Yeah.
And so would that explain this, what they're going to say is a sudden acceleration? It's not that, it's that it's zoomed in more?
It makes it look a lot more significant. If you actually correct for that zoom at that point, it's essentially just kind of drifting off to the left, not very fast at all. Everyone, I think, has been primed by people saying it's got this fast acceleration. And even when it's been explained to them and shown to them, it's really hard to actually watch that and not see it like, oh, suddenly, pew, like It's almost like it's warp speed going off to the side. But it's not. It's just simply everything is doubling in size over one frame. And so all it is just an instant digital zoom.
The distance, I've got 30 seconds. How far away was Chad from this object?
It's impossible to say because he says he got a ping and he said around 20 miles away. Other people have said like different distances, but it could quite easily be he got a ping, he looked in that direction, and then the video locked onto something else that was 40 miles away.
Now, is it possible, I don't think I could see this, is it possible for a pilot to see an object that is 10 or 20 feet in size from 20 miles away?
You would just see like a speck, basically, and it depends on the atmospheric conditions. So it looks like it was backlit, so he would have seen essentially a black speck.
Right.
Had he been able to find it in the sky. So it also depends on other things like what is the cloud cover and what is behind it and things like that. So theoretically, yes, but practically it would be difficult.
Yeah, because the descriptions and I'm not trying to in any way discount the pilot's testimony. I haven't interviewed them and so forth. But something that's 20 miles away, I don't have any details of this craft. I don't have. How is that possible?
No, I mean, if you look at most planes flying overhead, when they're flying directly overhead, they're maybe like 5-6 miles up. So if you're thinking about something that's 20 to 40 miles away and not very large, if it's something like an FA-18, then you're not going to be able to see anything.
No. Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Mick West. Now, when we come back, we're video. What a great show. Thank you, Mick. Stay right there. This is Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
The Dark Zone presents another epic live streaming event from America's most famous haunted crime scene, the Lizzie Borden Murder House. A 4-day live streaming event, August 28th through the 31st, 2020. Following the smash success of the first-of-its-kind live streaming event at the Conjuring House, the Dark Zone Network is proud to present a worldwide interactive live streaming event from the notorious double murder scene, the Lizzie Borden House in Fall River, Massachusetts. This is the perfect warm-up for Halloween. Full access to the continuous around-the-clock 4-day event is just $19.99. Discounted tickets are on sale now, and you can check out the free preview on Thursday, August 27th. For more information and to watch the Lizzie Borden Murder House live, please visit thedarkzone.tv or just click on the banners at jimmychurchradio.com. That's www.thedarkzone.tv.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
Including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Mick West. Got lots to talk about tonight. We're going through the 3 U.S. Navy, air quotes here, UFO videos. Just discuss the Tic Tac. And, Mick, I want to move on to the Gimble. And this gets a little bit technical.
You thought the last one was technical. This one is really technical.
Except, now this is where I'm going to go with an except your explanation is spot on, and your presentation on what is going on here is spot on. But I think it's actually easier to grasp than you think. I really do. And so my take, especially when I watch Gimble now, it looks absolutely mechanical. The movement of the object in the video is not what you would see from something in flight, like making these that would be a different view if it was like rotating. The craft was. What I see is like a kaleidoscope or something that whatever you're twisting. That's what's going on here. It's something again, human from the craft. It's from the airplane and its camera system. The spinning on the video is not from the object. Now, when you say something like that, most people don't understand how it's possible to keep the horizon and the clouds in one space and not moving, and the craft is rotating, so therefore it must be the craft. It can't be the camera system. But I see it the opposite. So what is going on with the Gimble video?
Well, if you take a flashlight and you point it at your camera, you hold your cell phone up and you stick a flashlight on a bookcase across the room or just on a chair or whatever, and you point your camera at this flashlight. So you get this kind of bright glare. You'll often get kind of like a streak going across your camera a little bit. Now, if you keep pointing this camera at the flashlight and you rotate the camera, the glare kind of rotates around, and the background. Well, let's see. The background does rotate around as well, but the problem is it's very difficult to figure out in your head what's actually going on. There's a fun experiment you can do with just no camera at all. If you take a flashlight and hold it in front of you, close one eye, and then look at this flashlight with squinting with the other eye. So it's nearly closed. You're looking at it through a slit, and then you move your head from left to right. Just tilt it from left to right. You will see the shape of the glare from the flashlight actually rotates. And it's kind of interesting because it makes you think, like, why isn't the entire room rotating when I rotate my head? If my eye is rotating, why does the room not rotate? And the answer is your brain is actually taking that image that's coming in from your eye and it's rotating it back upright again. It's correcting for the tilt of your head. So when you look forward and you tilt your head from left to right, everything still remains upright because you've got this mental derotation of the image.
Right.
But the glare, because the glare is always relative to your eye, and in this case, the slit of your eye and your eyelashes is what's making this glare, that actually rotates, and you see it rotating in the scene. And that essentially is what's going on in the Gimble video, although it's a lot more complicated. Like we talked earlier about the camera system, how it has these big external gimbals and this big ball on the end of a cylinder, and then these internal mirrors, and then these other mirrors, and then this derotation mechanism, and then the actual camera. It's got to go through all that. Now, something in that camera is making a glare be the shape it is. And I guess we should kind of step back a little bit here and say, like, what are we actually looking at? If you look at the Gimble video, it looks in many ways like a classic flying saucer. like hovering above the clouds. It's longer than it is tall, but it's got this kind of cross-shaped, kind of vaguely ovoid shape, which looks like a flying saucer. It's kind of tempting to interpret that, but it's really, you can kind of think of it, I think, more as I guess, a diamond shape. And I think what we're actually seeing here is a glare. And another thing that confuses people is that it's black, and you expect a glare to be white. So you think of it as being this black object that's flying over the ocean. But if you look in the bottom left corner of the video, it says BLK, and at the top it says IR, and that means it's infrared and it's black hot. So hot objects appear as black. It's basically, essentially inverting the video. So if you've got something that's very, very hot in the video, it acts the same as your flashlight would look like when you point your flashlight at a camera. It's like a very, very bright infrared source because it's very, very hot infrared source. And so it creates a glare. And this kind of diamond shape just happens to be the shape that the camera makes. And I don't know exactly why it's that shape, but I've seen similar shapes in other cameras. It's just you get different glare shapes from different cameras.
Okay, now I've just, it's funny, you just described how to do that. I did it with my cell phone camera. I've got multiple, I'm a big flashlight guy. I've got flashlights all over my studio. And so I'm looking at it on my cell phone camera, and then I've got cameras in studio here that broadcast out over the internet. And I'm flashing the flashlight at the camera, and there it is. There's the glare. So everybody's looking at the glare. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, but
yeah, I see. I've got the YouTube up.
Oh, you're watching it. Okay, good.
And that shape that you have of the glare, it actually wasn't symmetrical. It wasn't. It wasn't a circle.
No.
It actually is wider in one direction than in another direction because of something going on inside the camera. And you've got little spikes coming from it. And if you look closely at the Gimble video, you will see those same little spikes. And you'll notice you can't really see the flashlight because it's completely covered, and a lot of your hand is obscured by this glare as well.
That's right.
So if you replace this flashlight and your hand with a jet, with jet engines being the flashlight, that's essentially what's happening. Yeah, and that's what we're looking at.
See this tiny little flashlight's 1 inch long, right? Okay, everybody look at the camera. So that's it. But you would never know that is this. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, but now the rotation. How is it possible to rotate the object and not rotate the scene in the background, the horizon, the clouds? Wouldn't they all rotate together?
Sure. If you just, well, what actually happens is you can do this experiment yourself. If you take your flashlight and point your cell phone at it, and then you rotate the cell phone, you will see things rotate in the scene. But you will see that the glare is rotating relative to the background. So it's no longer at the same angle as it was before. Now, if you then take that entire image and you rotate it back, so the everything is the right way up, then it'll look like the scene itself hasn't rotated.
Oh man, that is trippy.
But
yes, you're absolutely 100% correct. The background is not moving, of course, but the glare is.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
But that's from your perspective. Now, from the camera's perspective, the glare isn't moving, but the background is.
Oh,
so if you take that image and put it on a screen that isn't rotating and did nothing, it would look like that was rotating.
Yes.
So to correct that for the fighter pilots, they have to rotate the entire image so the horizon is in the right place, which makes the glare look like it's rotating. And where can everybody go and watch your videos? So let's move on. But what's your YouTube channel called? Mick West. Oh, okay, there you go. I'm just Mick West everywhere.
Mick West on YouTube.
Yeah.
I want everybody to go and watch the Gimble video that you present online, because you go to your garage. I think it's your garage, right? And you've got your
yeah.
garage door in the background. You've got the glare. You're moving the camera, but the garage door doesn't move, but the glare is bleeping, rotating like a carousel.
Yeah, well, it's actually it starts out with the garage door does move, but the glare doesn't move. And so because I want the garage door to be level, I rotate it back, and then it looks like the glare is moving. Now that video is titled, why does the glare rotate when the horizon does not? And you can see it on my channel in the Navy videos playlist.
Now, when I watched that section of the video, I sat back and I go, what? Why have issues with Mick West? Right? This is clearly showing what is going on in the Gimble video. It may not be exactly what is going on, but if you can do it in your garage, well, then obviously the software and the ability to rotate the IR image, right? Because the camera's rotating for whatever reason it is rotating, but the background is not.
Yeah, they actually discuss it in the patent for the Apple system. The way they have the mirrors tracking things in the front means that when the front of the camera rotates, the image rotates, and they have to derotate it. And they have this derotation mechanism specifically mentioned in the patent. Now, people get confused, and they say, like, well, how could the derotation rotate the glare independently of the horizon? And it's not. The derotation mechanism is rotating the entire image. So it rotates the glare on the horizon, just like we were doing just then. But the glare has already moved relative to the horizon, or depending on from your perspective, the horizon has moved relative to the glare because you rotated the camera relative to the horizon. It's confusing, and I understand why people don't get it. But if you can get people to go through the various steps like you just did and actually do the experiments, or for a start, watch my videos, then it's something that people are capable eventually of understanding. But it's kind of hurts your head a bit trying to think about this is rotating, that's rotating, it's relative, there's an image, I can see this on the screen. So I understand why people think I'm performing mental gymnastics, as Joe Rogan said about it, because it does seem like I'm having to jump through a lot of hoops. But once you actually see it in action, it can be nothing else.
Yeah, and I'm just watching. There's a tweet just popped up saying, I'm not buying it. These are $6 million camera systems, not a cell phone camera. And then by a statement like that, that's from Mark in Australia. A statement like that actually says the opposite. If you can do this with a cell phone camera and look at this, certainly a $6 million system has the ability to rotate the object and not interfere with the background. It's actually very simple, and they would be able to do it, and especially for the pilots, where you're looking at it where you're not interrupting
shape being defined by the front part of the camera, and then the derotation that's needed for the movement of the camera as a whole. And that's like another whole kettle of fish, trying to explain why is the camera rotating in the first place. And the reason it's rotating is for this gimbal lock issue, which is to do with the way the camera is mounted. It's mounted forward in a way that you can't smoothly pan from one side to the other. You need to kind of readjust your orient around 0 degrees, and that's about when it does this gimbal roll, this gimbal correction, which you don't see because it's corrected for in the derotation mechanism. So that you don't see the horizon move when the camera moves because it's derotating it. But because the camera's moved, the glare is no longer at the same angle because the horizon has moved. And then when it rotates the horizon back to where it was before, the glare looks like it's moved.
How did you perform this experiment in your video? Is there some special software, or can anybody just set up?
It's not super special. I basically did. I got a small camera there's like kind of a GoPro type camera. And small cameras tend to give like, they're easier to set up for this, and set it up so I could rotate around its main axis, and then just basically filmed the glare with the garage door in the background. And then you can either do some kind of motion tracking to derotate it. Your goal is to make the garage door level, or your horizon level, or whatever's level. So you could use some kind of motion tracking to do that. But I actually just did it manually in Photoshop. I just set a couple of points and then moved a few frames and then rotated it and just made it stay level. But you've got to do something to it. The camera itself does it optically. It's got this optical derotation mechanism, which is something that you're not going to find in a regular camera. So it's hard to duplicate that thing. But you can duplicate the basic principle here, that if the glare shape is caused by something in the camera and the camera rotates, then the glare shape, the orientation of the glare stays the same. The horizon moves. Then you derotate it by doing whatever, and put the horizon back where it was. Looks like the glare is rotated.
Yeah, because if I videoed what I just looked at in my cell phone with the glare rotating the phone, right? Now the background, okay. So the background is staying in the same position, but the glare is moving with the cell phone camera.
But if you take what you just did there, and actually take a video and then play the video, you're going to see the entire scene rotate, but the glare will stay in the same position.
Right.
And then, but you don't want the scene to rotate, so then you have to derotate it, which means it rotates the glare.
Right. Man,
it's a bit head hurting.
No, it's actually not. It's the opposite, Mick. It's the opposite. It's head hurting if you're listening to your description.
Yeah.
The head stops hurting when you just point a flashlight at your cell phone while you're looking at the image, and then just rotate the cell phone and look at it.
Yeah,
it all becomes very, very, very clear at that point. No pun
and
intended.
The squinting thing is an interesting experiment as well, because you do have this mental derotation, which is a little confusing. But another thing about the gimbal video, you've got to be clear here what we're talking about when we say glare, because people look at this and they see like a black object surrounded by a white light, and they think that the glare is this white light surrounding the object, and then they get all confused. But that white light surrounding the object, when you think about it, is actually a dark light, because it's an inverted image. So black is hot and white is cold. So much is made of that. People say that you've got this white aura, this cold aura around the object. But that's actually just a well-known artifact of thermal imaging cameras called, it's basically a sharpening artifact, but it's the unsharp mask filter, which is probably something you've used in your photography. Is a simple sharpening filter that if you apply it to infrared, it makes the edges of things very clear. And if the contrast is very high, it creates an aura around these things. I have a video demonstrating this. You take the exact same shape, you just stick in an unsharp mask on the object, or on the entire scene, in fact, and you get this aura around things. So that white aura around the object is not the glare. The glare is the black shape itself and the little spiky bits that are sticking out from it.
So you're saying that aura isn't an anti-gravity bubble to prevent G-forces against the abuse of a biological body inside of the craft?
That's entirely possible.
You're supposed to laugh.
It looks exactly like the unsharp mask filter. I mean, it obviously, that's what it is. There's lots of other examples. If you look for infrared videos online, you'll see half of them have some kind of artifact like this around them, including videos of jets. They'll have this glare around them, and you can even see it in the Nimitz, the Tic Tac video, the Fleur 1 video. It's got this kind of aura around it, which is the same thing. It's just a sharpening artifact from the system.
Now, when we come back after the break, we're going to jump over to the Go Fast video, which I think is even more fascinating than the other two for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
A lot less unfascinating, too, as well as the other two videos. But when we have these three videos associated with the eyewitness testimony and the a description from the pilots and the crews of what they were seeing, both on radar and with their own eyes, things moving at, faster than the speed of light and 80,000 miles, whatever these numbers are, dropping from 80,000 feet to sea level in the matter of a second. Those are not the same descriptions of the objects that were seen in these videos.
No.
So what do we do with that?
Well, I think we have to treat them as different events. I think it's very easy to conflate everything and say these are all the same types of things, but they're all different. You got these in the Fleur example, the Nimitz Tic Tac. You got a video of something that's not doing anything special. Then you've got radar accounts of things like dropping out of the sky, which we don't see on the video. And then you have visual accounts of things like bouncing around like a ping pong ball and shooting up to the horizon, which again is different from the other two things. It's entirely horizontal movement rather than this strange rapid vertical movement. And then you've got this other accounts of this slow moving drifting objects that hang around the fleet for days, which is another thing entirely. So you can't say, they saw these things with their own eyes or they saw the radar, because they're all different things and there's no real link between them.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way as well. And I don't want to, again, Dave Fravor and, pilot, all that, great guy. Obviously, I'd go out and have a beer with him. I think he's a great guy. But what he was describing was not, people are thinking that, because when he describes what he saw, they run the video at the same time. So the audience is assuming that this is Dave Fravor's object, right? And that
yeah, sometimes they run the Gimble video when it's actually the Tic Tac video, which is a really, really boring video. And run Tic Tac because it's entertaining. And they run the Gimble video because it looks like a flying saucer.
Right. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about Go Fast. And again, this is probably more mundane. It may be the right word, but actually the way that you analyze this with some pretty serious math and the way that you broke this down, I think it is one of the more enlightening videos because of what the pilots are saying in the radio, right? In the audio along with this. It's not actually adding up for me. I don't know what's going on, but you did the math, and we're going to go through all of that when we come back. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Mick West. We're talking about and breaking down the three, air quotes, UFO videos from the Navy, Gimble, Tic Tac, and Go Fast. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend. Let's face it, you've always wanted to do a sky watch and see your first UFO. Today, it's easy. Just get your own HP7 3B Cobalt Jimmy Church Edition night vision goggles from Hoffman's Optics. This is the same U.S. military system that I use, featuring a Generation 3 blue phosphor image tube. That's right, it's blue, not black and green. This is the only blue system in the world, and it's waterproof, lightweight, combat-proof, simple to use, and ready to go. Hoffman's Optics help create night vision sky watches, and now you can see what everyone has been talking about each night from your own backyard. Just call 760-231-9929. That's 760-231-9929. You can click on the banners on our site or visit UFOnightvisiongoggles.com. That's UFOnightvisiongoggles.com. Go back, Lee Tepe.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Great conversation tonight. Great conversation. Mick West, you can go to his YouTube channel. I've got all the links up over at jimmychurchradio.com for metabunk.org and tftrh.com or over at jimmychurchradio.com. Now, Mick, I want to move on to the Go Fast video. Now, I want to approach it like this. When my view of the Go Fast video was not your conclusions. That's not what I mean. Hold on, strike that. What I mean is your video cleared things up for me. Okay. My comments about the Go Fast video is I want to know what they were seeing, this group of things before and after this particular shot. I think that is, that would be very, very, very revealing about what is going on here. Then I watched your video. Wow. Okay, so first off, is the object in the Go Fast video moving at 2/3 the speed of sound?
No, it's not. But if you look at the bottom of the screen, you see a little M0.61, I think it is, which is about 2/3 the speed of sound. That's the Mach number. And what that is the speed of the plane. And I think, that quote you're talking about there, it comes from Unidentified, and they say it's moving at 2/3 the speed of sound. I think the producers actually kind of spliced that into the conversation and moved things around. They were asking, what is the speed of the jet flying at? Oh, it's moving at 2/3 the speed of sound. And then they kind of spliced that in and made it sound like that's what the Go Fast object itself was moving at. But it looks like it's moving really, really fast. And if it was moving over the ocean surface, if it actually was moving as it looks like it's moving, the illusion, it would actually be moving around 2/3 the speed of sound, because the motion of the object is actually an illusion created by the motion of the jet itself. The jet that's filming it with the camera is actually essentially hardly moving at all. If anything, it's moving around like 40 knots.
It's moving at a couple of dozen miles per hour.
Yeah, essentially about what would be wind speed. Not wind speed down at the ocean surface, but wind speed at around 13,000 feet. Which is the other interesting thing, is that it looks like it's actually moving very, very close to the ocean. But as you go through the video, you see some numbers pop up, which are the range numbers. You see it says 4.4, 4.3 range, which is the distance in nautical miles from the camera to the target, to the object.
Well, 40 miles per hour and 500 miles per hour, that's two different numbers.
Yeah, they're very, 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 very different numbers.
Okay, so it's virtually stationary.
It's virtually stationary. I think essentially what we're looking at is something that is just drifting with the wind. And it looks like it's moving really, really fast because he's got a lock on it. And his jet, the pilot's jet, is moving at 2/3 the speed of sound. It's moving at Mach 0.61, which at that altitude is not the same speed as at the ground.
Now let's break this. Let's break this down really quick. Let's get some hard numbers out. TTSA and others around them. We don't need to just go down the list of names. That's a waste of time. But they want the viewer of this video to think that, power of suggestion, that this object is skimming along the surface of the ocean. It is not. What is the actual altitude of this object?
The actual altitude is 13,000 feet, approximately, give or take 500 feet.
13,000 feet, which
13,000 feet.
13,000 feet higher than the surface of the ocean.
Yes, exactly. 13,000 feet above sea level. And you can see from the indicator on screen that the jet itself is at 25,000 feet, which is about twice 13,000 feet, which will be 26,000 feet. So the object essentially is almost exactly halfway between the jet and the ocean. So if you think about, imagine a line that goes from the jet through an object that's not moving to the ocean, and you move the jet at 2/3 the speed of sound, the other end of that line, if it's pivoting around this stationary object, is also going to be moving at 2/3 of the speed of sound. So your field of view is skimming over the ocean at 2/3 the speed of sound, but the object itself isn't actually moving.
Now, how do you come to the conclusion that the object is at 13,000 feet? We've got to do some math here, don't we?
Yeah. It's not too complicated because we have the two numbers that we need. If you think back to your high school trigonometry, you have sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. You've got a right-angled triangle. The sine of the angle is the opposite side of the triangle divided by the long side of the triangle. Now here we have two of those three numbers so in that equation. So we have 4.3 range, which is 4.3 nautical miles. That's the hypotenuse in our triangle. We have 27 degrees down, which is the angle that the camera is pointing down. That's the angle. So given the hypotenuse and an angle, we can work out what the opposite side of that triangle would be, which is the height below the plane. If you think of it as kind of an inverted triangle, upside down triangle, the distance to the object is the long side of the triangle. The drop down is that altitude below, and we can work that out. So it's a very simple equation. The sine of 27 degrees is the distance below the plane divided by the range. So you've got all those numbers. You can work it out, and you just plug those in. You can stick them into Google if you want, and it will actually, Google Calculator, it will come out as being 12,000 feet below the plane, and you subtract that 12,000 feet from 25,000 feet, and it gives you 13,000 feet, which is the altitude above the surface of the ocean. So it's really simple math. And a lot of people, though, will not be able to do that math because most people do not do trigonometry. They might do it at high school. They might not do it at high school. They might not even get that far, or they might forget it straight away. But most people do not use trigonometry in their everyday life. And so it can be, again, a slightly confusing argument to follow if you don't know trigonometry. If you do know trigonometry, it's a really, really easy argument to follow. And even if you don't know trigonometry, this is literally the simplest trig that there is. Sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. Sounds complicated, like big Greek words, but it's really simple math, and you can just use the two numbers that are on the screen, and they remain consistent. It starts out at a 4.3 range, and it's 27 degrees down. You go all the way to the end of the video, it's 3.8 nautical miles range and 31 degrees down. And you do the math on those two numbers, you get the exact same number. So it's consistent throughout the entire video. It's an object that stays at the same altitude and isn't really moving very fast.
It's actually very simple. When you go and look at your video and you show how you get the altitude, you actually do it twice because you have two sets of numbers at two different points in time in the video. It's very simple. You have the distance in nautical miles. That's the bottom of the triangle. You have the degrees that the plane is looking at, which is 26 degrees. You've got your two numbers that you need to complete the equation. The last one is the result, which is the altitude, which is the final part of the triangle, which comes out to 12,000 feet, 13,000 feet. And you present that twice. What is interesting here for everybody is you've got the altitude of the airplane right there. It's showing at 25,000 feet level flight. That's not changing. You subtract the 12,000 feet from the altitude, you've got the remainder, which is the altitude of this object, which is not at sea level, but it's at frigging 12,000 feet or 13,000 feet, which is a whole nother thing. Most people don't understand that they are being told it's at sea level skimming along at 500 miles an hour. It's not the case. It's actually at 13,000 feet and stationary.
Exactly. It's near stationary. And so you're just getting the illusion of really, really fast movement because, the object itself is not moving on screen. What's moving is the ocean behind it. And part of the problem is what we talked about earlier is these cameras are incredibly good at locking onto things and tracking them. And it's doing this really, really good job of tracking this thing, which looks like it's moving from the camera's perspective as well. The camera's perspective is the same as what you're looking at. It's seeing something that relative to the plane itself is actually moving because it's stationary and we're flying past it. It's like you're in a train and like a telegraph pole flies by. The telegraph pole isn't actually moving very fast. In fact, it's not moving at all, but it looks like it's flying past you. And if you were to lock on with your camera to a telegraph pole, obviously it would get bigger. If you look on something that's further away, you get this illusion of movement. And the other thing that finally really makes this compelling is that we're zoomed in all the way. So we're seeing this almost 100 times zoom in kind of consumer camera terms, this very, very narrow field of view. So it really amplifies the illusion of motion.
then I encourage everybody to go and watch Mick's Go Fast video presentation on his channel, because after all of the trig, after the motion of the plane slowly moving to the left, right? There's a slight arc there. You have the distances off in the distance going to where this object is, but that's not the close. That's not the deal close. The deal close is the balloon that you show at the end of the video. And describe to everybody what this balloon is actually doing.
It's basically some people in a helicopter were testing out this new technology they had for kind of basically locking onto objects and then showing maps of where they were. So there was lots of information on screen that showed exactly what was going on, which was great. We were able to analyze the video. And it's a video of a balloon which is just essentially drifting slowly in the wind at about perhaps 10 miles an hour, if that. That is being filmed from a helicopter, which is moving rapidly at about 100 miles an hour. And they're all a bit closer to the ground than in this example. But again, we get the same kind of situation. The balloon is about halfway between the helicopter and the background behind it. And the camera operator has locked onto this balloon, and so is essentially tracking it. I think it's actually tracking it manually, but it's essentially doing the same thing. And it looks like this balloon is moving at 100 miles an hour because you got the exact same setup.
It looks like it's ripping.
It does, but we know it's not because it's quite low to the ground, and there wasn't a hurricane that day. So it was just essentially moving at a fairly slow velocity. And yeah, there's a thread where I get into all the detail of analyzing exactly where this particular balloon was as well, just to show how the math works in a different example. But yeah, it looks like the same thing. It looks like it's moving fast when it's just drifting in the wind.
Now, what do we do with the audio of the pilots describing what's going on with this object in the Go Fast video? Something smells really fishy here to me.
I don't think it's fishy. I think what's actually going on here is a couple of pilots basically training with this system. Like they maybe haven't used it that much before, and so they're experimenting with locking on to different things. And you see, you hear one guy say, look at that thing, blah blah blah.
There's a whole fleet of them.
Yeah, there's that. But like, first of all, like he says, like, did you box a moving target? No, I used the auto track, and that's just kind of about what we talked about earlier with the other thing. It's the auto track. He moved the camera to the right position, and then the system locked on. It wasn't that amazing to actually do. But yeah, it says there's a whole fleet of them. Look at the SA. And the SA is the situational awareness display, which basically displays kind of a God's eye view from above of everything that's within a certain range, and then there's indicators around the edge for other things. So he's saying that other things are shown up on this SA display. But I think the problem is it's very difficult for him to kind of correlate what he's seeing in the infrared video, this very fast-moving looking video, with what's on the SA, because if he thinks what he's looking at is actually at the ocean surface, they would actually put it several miles further away than it actually is. He would actually be like around 7 miles away rather than 3.5 miles away. So he may well be looking at something that isn't actually near where this particular object is. Then we do have testimony from another pilot who said he saw a version of this video that also had a little V-shaped formation of 5 things. And yeah, if that was true, that would be very interesting to see a longer version of this video. But, the Navy says this is all they have. This is the only version that they have. Maybe there was another version with these 5 things, but I haven't seen it, so I can't really speak to it. And so, unfortunately, you kind of have to leave it there. This guy claims this one thing, but there's really no real evidence it actually happened. He didn't even see the actual thing. He kind of talks about watching the video later. But, that's kind of something that's unknown, and that's unresolved, what he actually saw on the video.
So what do you think is in the Go Fast video? Do you think it's just some type of weather balloon at 13,000 feet just out there doing atmospheric measurements?
Yeah, I think it probably was some kind of either a weather balloon or some kind of military type thing, like a target or something kind of sensor or something like that. They released things that I used as targeting things for people to practice locking onto. Essentially for this precise thing, you lock onto a balloon or something. The ships will lock onto them with their guns just for practice. It could be something like that. Yes, people joke about it being a bird, that is a possibility. That it could actually be a high altitude bird that's it has to be fairly well insulated though. This is the major problem with this theory, is that it's at 13,000 feet and it appears cold against the ocean surface, meaning that it's actually colder than the ocean. But that's just 13,000 feet. The temperature of the air is 40 degrees colder than at the ocean surface, so its outer feathers are going to be very cold. But people mock me for bringing up this seagull hypothesis, but I don't even think it's particularly likely. It's possible, and so I kind of forced to defend myself against the people who mock it, like Jeremy Corbell, said he debunked it by saying that the thing would be too cold and it would get hypothermia, which is kind of ridiculous because it's the feathers on the outside that are cold, not the body on the inside. But anyway, the most likely thing is a balloon, some kind of lighter-than-air craft just drifting in the wind.
Now, the narrator in Unidentified says this. No object or something. I'm going to paraphrase, right? But I'm going to do it in my narrator voice. Okay. Nothing can fly without lift or propulsion.
Yeah, he says there's no known aircraft that can fly without a source of heat propulsion type thing, basically.
Well, the narrator and the writer has never been to Santa Fe, New Mexico for the big balloon display that they do every single year. Right? Isn't that a little bit misleading to suggest that?
It is like a helium balloon, which is what a weather balloon is. It's just a big bag full of helium. Is an aircraft that flies without a source of heat, and so blatantly saying that such a thing doesn't exist is just false and misleading. And yeah, it's like, have they actually considered these things and then decided not to talk about them, or are they just simply unaware of them?
It could be Klingons too.
It could be anything. That's the thing. I always try to make a list of possible hypotheses, and I tend not to take things off the list because you can always kind of concoct some kind of scenario in which it is a certain thing. Lots of things would have to fall into place, and certain things would have to happen that are rather unusual. But it's possible that it was aliens pretending to be a weather balloon. It's possible that the Gimble object is a rotating glare that has a flying saucer behind it, and it's possible that the Tic Tac video is of a Tic Tac shaped craft that is going really slowly in a straight line and changing its shape. These things are possible, but they seem like the most outlandish explanations, so I tend to put them rather low down on the list and go with the simple things, which are things like airplanes and balloons.
Well, I have said on the record, Mick, that I want to be wrong. In this case, I just want to be wrong. I hope that in a year or two, I'm wrong, and I invite everybody to slap me around and say, church, we told you so. It was aliens, and it is. Okay, great. All right, and I will drink on that day because it will be the greatest day in human history. Right?
Yeah, it would be awesome.
It would be awesome. It'd be awesome. But in this case, I just don't think I'm wrong.
Nope.
The other part of this is I'm going to ask you a very direct question. Have you ever seen a UFO?
Not in an interesting way. I've seen boring UFOs like white dots in the far distance.
Right.
But I haven't seen anything that doesn't have a plausible explanation.
Do you think that, and I don't want you to be Michael Shermer here, okay? Be the opposite of Michael Shermer. Do you think that we are being visited by intelligent civilizations?
I haven't seen any evidence of it. I mean, I guess it's possible. But I think if we are, they're doing a very good job at hiding themselves.
Would you be okay if ET came down and revealed itself?
It would be quite mind-blowing and very interesting. So I'd certainly be okay with it. It would make life a lot more interesting. And you know what they say about interesting times. But I'm a big fan of science fiction, and I grew up like reading about UFOs, and I grew up reading Arthur C. Clarke. And it would be just the most amazing thing ever for aliens to exist and to find proof of that, and for them to visit us. That would be pretty amazing. It might be a bit scary. We don't know what's going to happen.
Well, but, we're surviving coronavirus, so maybe this is a warm up. What about this? Do you? And I know that others actually think this, but do you think that we are the only intelligent life in the universe?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's very common if it does exist. And it may be that there's not very much in this galaxy, and that travel between galaxies and communication between galaxies is very difficult. So it could be very, very sparse. I mean, say there's like 10 civilizations in this galaxy. They're so far apart that they just haven't made contact with each other. But throughout the universe, there's billions of civilizations because there's billions of galaxies.
How many Earth-like planets do you think are in our Milky Way?
No, I really don't know. I'm off the top of my head. You probably know better than me, but it's probably millions, if not billions.
The latest numbers. This is science. This isn't crazy talk. 2 months ago, 80 billion. Right?
Yeah.
And when you think about this, going back to 1995, when we discovered the first confirmed exoplanet, right? One, right? The number was
well, we haven't
one.
discovered 80 billion. I think it's an extrapolation from the figures.
Okay, don't be Michael Shermer now. That's not going to work on this show.
My skeptic is coming out.
Yeah, he's too easy of a target for me. But understand this, that we have 10,000 catalog planets today. 20 years ago, the number was 1. Well, actually, 20 years ago, the number was 5, just 5. And now, Mick, when you walk out into your yard and you look up at the stars, every star that you can see with your eyes has a planet or 2 or 10. And that's crazy when we didn't think that there were any, right? 30 years ago, the big question mark. And that's pretty mind-blowing when we start to think about not other galaxies, just here in our own Milky Way. It's a fascinating time to be living and pondering these things.
Indeed.
Thank you so much, Mick. And where can everybody go and check you out?
They can find me at metabunk.org, or I'm very active on Twitter at Mick West.
Thank you so much, my friend. Great conversation tonight. I look forward to having you on the show again, and we will go seriously down another direction and another rabbit hole.
Sounds great. I look forward to it.
Thank you, Mick.
Thank you.
Mick West. Again, metabunk.org and TFTRH. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com, and you can follow Mick right here on Twitter at Mick West. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I know that all of you want to have a conversation. I'll open up the phone lines. Thank you, Mick. Have a great night. Be safe out there. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back to take your phone calls after this short break. Stay with us.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listen.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Open lines right now, 747-228-2051. 747-228-2051. I've got calls on hold. I've got one segment left, and I just posted up in Twitter. Look, man, it's a simple thing to say. I'm not here to break hearts. If I have, it's unintentional. I just want everybody to just look at the evidence, just draw your own conclusions, see what's out there, and that's it. And that's what this show has always been about from the very beginning. Listen to everything. It does not change. These 3 videos, I may not see UFOs or ET in them. That's me. All right? It doesn't change what I have seen, my experiences, going out and sky. It doesn't change anything. You know, and I'd actually said to Mick before the show, I said, look, these 3 videos from the Navy, okay, they don't show ET in them. They don't. There's nothing UFO with them for my eyes today. But it doesn't change my experiences. It doesn't change my belief. I know that we are being visited every single day by intelligent civilizations not of planet Earth. It's just not in these 3 videos. All right? That's it. That's it. And man, hopefully one day I'll be proven wrong. Fingers are crossed. All right? 747-228-2051. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live.
Hello?
Yeah, you're live.
Yeah, how you doing, How you doing?
I'm doing good. Who's this?
This is JR.
Hey, JR.
Yeah, I called because a lot of people don't talk about what I'm about to talk about.
What's that, JR?
Have you heard of the Illuminati? I know everybody heard about that.
JR, you're live on the radio.
All right, have you heard of the Illuminati?
Yes.
Yeah, have you heard of the Illuminati card game?
I don't understand what you're saying, JR.
Have you heard about the Illuminati card game? The card game?
No.
Illuminati?
No.
Yeah, it predicted 9/11 and it predicted the pandemic.
Oh, I did hear something. I heard something about that. I didn't hear about the pandemic, but I heard about it predicting things a couple of years ago. Yes.
Yeah, and those cards were made on 1995, and they were predicted. It predicted the 9/11.
Yes, that I did see. That I did see. It was very interesting. Yes. It's been a few years. It's been a few years since I heard about it.
Yeah, and it has a pandemic too. Has a quarantine, the card.
Yeah, it seems like you're stirring my memory. It wasn't just that. There was like 3, 4, or 5 different things that were there, and one of the I had it up on the website. Man, this is JR. This is going back 3, 4, 5 years. And I can't remember exactly, but I remember having a few of those cards up on Twitter and on the website. I'm going to have to go back and take another look at that, JR, but thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, no problem, man. I think this stuff is serious. It predicted everything that just happened, you know?
Yeah, thank you, JR. And go Beckley Tepe.
Go back to Tabby, man.
Yeah, right on, man. Great phone call. He's right about that. This happened. Do you guys remember that, Fadernauts? This was probably 3 or 4 years ago on the show when I can't remember if it was a guest on the show that revealed this or a caller, but it ended up taking off from there, and we got a collection of the cards that were, again, printed in 1995, but it definitely showed 9/11, and there was a couple of other things, too, that were there that passed. Obviously, the pandemic hadn't happened yet, and there you go. Oh, is this from Cassandra? Let's see. Okay. No, this wasn't what we presented. But I'm going to take another look at this. Cassandra, keep that going. I want to go and check that out. I remember this now. I do. Thank you, JR. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
This is Renee.
This is Renee?
Yeah, how you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing good, Renee. How are you?
All right. I wanted to give you a theory about the missing people that David Pilates talks about.
David Pilates missing
411?
Yeah, missing 411. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, you know how nobody knows how. Yeah, I think what it is the ground is opening up, and underground bases are just taking them real quick, and then closing real quick, and then like I saw the video of the Shasta when you saw the UFO, and then you can see how the mountain opened.
Right.
So I think that's how they're just getting people just opening the ground real quick, and there's no trace of nothing. And then they either use them real quick, and then they bring them back somewhere else, and they kill them or whatever, or the ones that are not found, they're probably still down there working, or I mean, you have to do work down there, the bases, whatever's going on down there.
Well, Renee, anything is possible. What I find, and thank you for the phone call. What I find most fascinating, and David is great. There were a couple of cases in the last movie, and I didn't want to reveal a whole lot on the show because I think the movie was just getting ready to get released. But anyway, there are a couple of cases there that absolutely don't make any sense at all, any logical sense. And when you have somebody missing from one location with a group of people, missing from one location, and then found 20 miles away evidence of this, and then another spot after that, and then nothing. Shoes are there, clothes, or somebody is wandering around open to the elements and exposure. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I think also this may be connected to what you're saying too, Renee, but I think it has something to do with possibly with granite or rocks, and what is going on underneath your feet at that moment. I think that has something to do with it. I could be wrong, but when you look at each one of these locations as David has mapped it out, it always seems like there's heavy rocks, right? Heavy minerals and things that are in that area.
And then with the no shoes, and then in the water,
Yeah, water. Yep.
It's water, no shoes. And then the kids that are like under 5, they don't know what happened. They don't remember.
Yeah,
They
I
just
know.
say like weird stuff, like a bear or something, like a teddy bear or something,
It doesn't make it. Yeah, I know. Fascinating. And David Pilates is one of the best.
Thing real quick.
Yeah.
Has he ever checked his missing persons with the list of when they bust child or trafficking?
I don't know if he goes into that zone. You would have to.
If there were to match names right there, then it has to be something connected there, right?
Yeah. Well, again, anything is
There's
possible.
There's been a lot of human trafficking lately that been they're getting busted.
Yeah, I know. Renee, thank you for the phone call, man, and go back Lee Tepe.
All right. See you. Bye.
Yeah, right on. I remember. Let's see if you guys remember this. I did. I'm going to say 4 years ago. Feels like 4 years. I went and did, and pop this up in Twitter. You can go and do this now. Go and look at the missing people that have disappeared, the count worldwide and country by country. Go and look at those numbers. You can see it broken down, male, female, by ages, children, adults, married, single. And just go and look at these numbers. It is an insanely huge number. Disappeared without a trace. Gone. That's crazy. I mean, and today, and we're talking about, the number is in the millions. It's not 10,000. It's not 5,000. It's not a few hundred. It's in the millions. And in today's society, I want you to imagine something. How difficult it would be today to disappear yourself. What you would have to do. Because, well, I get a new ID. Okay, all right. That may work in 1960. But today, with DNA, facial recognition, certainly fingerprints and it is so difficult to disappear yourself. And how are you going to make money? How are you going to get a job? How are you going to do? And today, to go and get an ID, right? That's a driver's license, a checking account, a bank account, and how difficult it is to disappear yourself, to just drop out. And so let's say 1 million people were able to just drop out, walk away, disappear themselves. You have to reappear somewhere else. How difficult it is today. It's not in this electronic world. It's nearly impossible. And especially and if you're going to disappear yourself, you're leaving a DNA trail back at your house. You've got DNA all over wherever you lived, toothbrushes. You've got DNA clothes. You've got DNA hair. You've got DNA all over the place. So they're going to get those DNA samples. You show up somewhere else, you're eventually going to get, and now, remember, I'm talking about per year. I'm not saying that 1 million people have disappeared over time. I'm talking about per year. Where do they go? It's one of the most mind-blowing things. When I got those stats out, I've got calls on hold. I'll get to you in a second. When I broke out those stats and you start to look at this, how many people are missing from the UK every single year, disappear without a trace. And it goes on in every country all around. Now, is it human trafficking? I don't know. Where are they going to? I don't know. If it's intentional, I don't know how they pull that off. So it's got to be something else, something unintentional. I don't know. Maybe they're on Mars. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
What's up, Jim?
What's up? Who's this?
Michael.
Hey, Michael, where are you calling from?
Orange County.
All right. What's on your mind?
I know. I just, just real quickly on a couple things because I know the way you operate.
Who's they?
The strangest thing about the 411.
What's that?
Well, you can look at all the strange things that you want to about it. But what I think the real telltale fact is the attitude of the National Park Service when David went to try to get the list and then the series of events that transpired, including and ending with, from no, we don't have one, to, well, wait a minute, I'm going to request it through the Freedom of Information Act, to, yes, we do have one. It's going to cost you $100,000. I think the final price that they would have produced that list that they quoted David was $2.1 million for the list.
Right.
What are they hiding?
Right. Right. And the and especially if you watch his last movie, when and the one before that too as well. But when you look at the stone wall, the absolute wall that is built between the Park Service, the Rangers, the local law enforcement agencies, they don't want to touch this stuff. And it's just like, wait a minute, we want to ask questions. And they don't want you to ask questions because they can't answer them. And I get outraged. And the other part, Michael, this is the other thing. And I know David, he's an intense guy on the air. In person, when you meet him, he's the coolest. He's man, I'm telling you, that is a good-natured guy that is out there really trying to figure out what's going on. But you don't want him on your trail. You know what I mean? And I've told him this. I said, man, if I ever do anything wrong, I don't want you after me because I'm going to get caught. Right? I'm going to get caught. He will not let up. But the other part of this, he knows. He's an investigator. This is what he's been doing, and he knows that there is something going on. And he's not going to stop until he starts to get some answers. But the more that you watch the movies and you read the books, you can't help but walking away feeling very, very creeped out. There's something
right.
Something
and here's
wrong.
The things that I thought of, honestly, after not only buying to support him, his movie, and just a lot of deep analysis. these were the possibilities that I thought, and you can tell me what you think. First, I thought, okay, maybe we got some Sasquatch activity because of the distance and stripping them down to maybe look more like an ape rather than a child. That was one thing. Then I thought, okay, maybe we have reptilians going down just that it's so fast and there's no trace, maybe because of ET or alien involvement. And then, which is so cool, is tonight I thought the guy was kind of off his rocker for suggesting child trafficking. And then wait, if you think about it, there's one thing that really supports this, other than the fact that most of the kids are found naked and way far away. Those people probably also have privy to lists for booking reservations for that particular camping spot and listing all of the occupants that are going to be in it. You maybe now also understand that might even be more as sick as it is as a possibility than you would have before, by the fact that maybe that's what's scaring the you-know-what out of the rangers, the local officers, the investigators. A couple of them have said there's no way that their dogs have never not been able to find anything without a trace. This is the work of professionals, extreme animals, or extreme ET. And something is scaring the crap. And not only that, the local park services and rangers are actually trained by a very, very hardcore government group that you would never believe would have any reason to train park rangers. When you make that connection, there's a reason why all of this super high training and protection has taken place. And it's maybe because it is all about the Epstein kind of scenario in child trafficking. What do you think about that, Jim?
Yeah, and Michael, thank you for the phone call. The numbers are big, and I don't know. I when I look at the numbers, I don't know what to think. But fantastic phone call, man. And one day, right? One day we'll start to get answers on all of these things. We got so many issues. Michael, go back, Lee Tappy, man.
Go back, Lee Tappy, Jim. Say hi to Rita.
Thank you so much. Another great phone call. The numbers are daunting. 2019, just in the United States, 609,275 missing persons. Think about that for a second. Just in the United States, 609,275. 2018, 612,846 missing persons in the United States. 2017, 651,226 people missing in the United States. 2016, 647,435. Now, do the math. In 4 years, 2.4, almost 2.5 million people missing in the United States. Now, how many of them were found? How many, and how many do we not know about? This is what is reported. 2.5 million people. That's insane to me. That's a crazy. We look at something today when we look at coronavirus, and we look at the pandemic numbers in the United States and how many people got sick, how many recovered, how many lost their lives to it, and we look at that, and then you look at this kind of number. That's crazy talk. David Paulides is on to something. I don't know what is causing it. I remember the last time, I think in his last movie, I think it was pretty extensive. 5 cases. 5 cases. Went from beginning to end. and dealing with law enforcement and family members and the facts in the case and the friends and the people that were there and the witnesses in each one of these cases, there was not one where you just step back and go, that's pretty explainable. No. And it's such a small slice of, a number of 609,000. He uses metrics. He wants to go to specific places. He wants to look at national parks and then take it down further. Was it close to water? I think, stream. Were there people there? Were there other, he breaks it down to go to very specifics. But this is the thing. When he uses the metrics with all of this, he's got more cases than he can investigate, where you're looking at what did it have this? Yes. Had all of the above. And we're dealing with thousands of cases. So, yeah, go watch his last Missing 411 with those 5 cases in that. And tell me that you don't get to the end of that video and feel uncomfortable. He's not, by the way, talking about reptilians and UFOs. David, I remember once where I said, well, what about Bigfoot? He goes, yeah. That needs to be a part of the discussion, too. It does. It comes into not only the metrics, but the conversations with other witnesses and things that were happening on that day, that week, what was going on. And it's something that he's not willing to dismiss. And by the way, and I mean this, I've sat next to him. I've talked to him. I've interviewed him. He was on a panel of mine once, too, as well. You sit and you talk to David Pilates, and you will never see a more serious individual. You can look right in his eyes, and, man, he is intense. He is very smart. Nice guy, though. I wouldn't want to make him angry. By the way, he's exactly what you're thinking. He's big. He's tall. He's serious. And I can't speak enough. I can't speak highly enough for David Pilates. So really quick, I do want to thank Mick West. When you go to Mick's YouTube channel, he's got a lot of things broken down there. Go and check out all of his U.S. Navy video analysis. You can draw your own conclusions, but at least go and see how he approaches all of this. There's that part. Also with Mick is a TFTRH, and go there too as well, because his podcast series that he's doing right now, and they're all great so far. Go to his first video, his episode number 1 for the podcast, and it's all right there. You can go and click and listen. Start there. I think his first guest is named Joe or John. Very interesting. And when you're going to watch the first episode of the podcast, they discuss the film Zeitgeist. And I almost brought that up tonight with Mick. I think that is a really great future episode on Fade to Black. But go and check that out. It's a very, very honest and revealing podcast. And you can go and check that out at tftrh.com. Of course, Debunk, which has been running now for 10 years, debunk.org. Go and check it out. I'm sure at one point or another they tore me apart on Debunk. It doesn't mean it's not a great site. Go and check out debunk.org. Very fun for this audience, for the Fadernauts, but you always need to look at every single side of the coin. And with that, I want to let you know that tomorrow night, Don Schmidt is here. We're going to be discussing his new book tomorrow night right here on Fade to Black. Go right now. Go to Game Changer Network on YouTube. Game Changer Network on YouTube. Check out episode 1 of The H Factor. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What a great conversation tonight. Thank you, Mick West. Great show. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is only copyrighted 2020 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, Don Schmidt. Until then, everybody be safe. Go back, Lee Tappy.